We have some industry association partners in Citrus Australia and the Almond Board of Australia, and of course some of the secondary schools, which are Chaffey Secondary College, Merbein P10, Mildura Specialist, Redcliffe Secondary College, SMEC, and they were supportive of our proposal. So we were very, very grateful when that proposal got through.
Yep.
We were able to put together a project that targeted secondary school students at our partner schools over the course of Term 1, Term 2 and Term 3 of this year. So we're through 2 of those projects to date.
Yep.
And we're looking forward to starting our 3rd project on the 21st of July, which is our Term 3 project. So it's based on the agricultural industry and, to be a bit more specific, horticulture in our Northern Mallee region.
All right, so Beck, I'm looking at you for this one now. So where are the projects going to be delivered and how are they structured?
Okay, so the students who are participants in the project arrive to the Chaffey Secondary College farm every Friday morning. We hit the ground running, and essentially what we're doing is immersing them in projects around the horticulture industry. So the type of things that we focus on in the morning is really hands-on stuff that's linked to the excursions that we participate in on a Friday. So an example of that is that, we choose seasonal plants to grow from seedlings. We get the kids to plant them in 3 different soil types. So what do we use, Dale? We use crusher dust, sand and some lovely garden mix. Kids make some hypotheses around which one will perform best.
Some serious stuff going on out there.
Some very serious stuff. But it's all linked to the excursions that we participate in the day. So our focus is, for example, on Friday next week, we'll be looking at taking soil samples of the soil types that we have. We send them off to one of our amazing partners, ALTSA Laboratories, and they do some soil testing, and the results come back to us, and we sit down with the kids and analyse that data and look at how well the soil, what the soil needs to help our plants produce fruit.
That's right, because I think you've cleared up something there. When I first saw this as an immersion, I had this theory of it was some form of aquaculture or water sort of based. And of course we need water on the land, but it was more around an aquaculture type of growing, but you're immersing the kids with knowledge of how to grow things. Are you trying to sort of work out who's going to be the next sort of big citrus guy or almond guy? Is that, or girl I should say as well? Is that how it's about?
There is a bit of competition with the kids. Once in the initial stages, it's just getting the kids to get the plants to grow. But as the weeks go on, the excitement levels build, and it becomes a competition with the kids at who's got the best soil type, who's looking after their plants. We look at fertilising rates based on the data that we're collecting from ALTSA. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on.
Could I throw in a pun here? But you're planting the seed.
We are. We are.
Sorry about that. But yeah, so obviously the schools have been really receiving and are very happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, to date, Ivan, through Term 1 or Group 1, and they attend the Chaffey Secondary College farm, which is a great horticultural area to experience, the projects that the participants are experiencing. So we've taken 2 groups through so far over a 9-week period each. So they attend, like Beck said, 1 day a week each Friday during that 9-week period. We've commenced about 32 participants, which is a really, really pleasing number of participants.
Are they the same kids rolling over again? You're obviously getting new kids all the time.
New kids.
Correct.
The reason I ask that question is that whole 12-month cycle of growing, what happens in the next 4 months is different to what's happened after a crop's been worked, and then you've got that downtime with your soil. I thought it was sort of the whole 12 months of what it takes and how much work goes into preparing a piece of soil, whether it be for a veggie garden or your crop And
It's
stuff.
a really great point that you've brought up, because what we're doing this term with our students, the kids from last term have donated the beans that they started to grow.
Yep.
They collected a whole bunch of data around plant height, leaf growth, flowers produced, where the kids are learning about sexual and asexual reproduction
Yep.
of plants. So they've donated their plants to the next group. So they're going to continue collating data
Yep.
and looking at really the plants and how they're growing in their different soil types. But it's also about the money, because horticulture is about making money.
Mm-hmm.
And the kids have to be able to see what works best,
Yeah.
and what practices to put in place based on the excursions that we participate in every
Yeah.
week. So we're constantly changing our practice every week,
Yeah.
aren't we, Dave?
So we treat it as a workplace too, Ivan. So
Well, that's another component of being on the land. People forget it's all about growing soil types, what
Yep.
crops work where. But the other side of that coin is the bookwork that's got to be done. The
Yeah.
cost that's got to associated with planting,
Yep.
and in general farm practices,
Yep.
to and from transportation of stock,
Yeah.
or as in this case, produce. So it's just a little bit more, and I understand where the gist is of what you guys are trying to do here.
yeah.
The future of it, do you think once it's a stronghold in St Rosie, do you think that these industries that are already supporting it now might jump on board for a long term?
Yeah, well, to give you a magnitude of the industries involved, we have Agro Miura Australia, which is nursery, which is in the nursery sector, Analytical Laboratories and Technical Services Australia, also, as Beck mentioned, so it's science and research, and you've got Agriculture Victoria Smart Farm,
Yep.
again the science and research side of it, Sunny TAFE Smart Farm and Sunny TAFE,
Yep.
which is the educational training side of it, Select Harvest, and Industry, Heusler's Group,
Yes.
which Ag Machinery Sales, and Southern Cross Farms, which is citrus, and we've got Mildura Fruit Company, which is again linked to citrus industry and manufacturing marketing side of it. So they're all the different sectors, and when we talk about immersion, we, like Beck mentioned, we take them out each week to a different sector for an industry visit as well.
Oh, right.
And
So,
learn about technology used in the industry. We learn
Yes.
about career pathways. So it's much more than I suppose, being working on the farm, being a farm manager, irrigation specialist. That's a critical part of what we do, and that's one sector.
yep.
But a lot of the industry partners I just mentioned there are part of sectors within the hort industry,
Yep.
offering occupations and pathways, which you might access through school in a vet subject, or you might actually go on and do VC, go away and study at a high level and then come back and work in the industry locally. So we're exposing all that as well. So it's a very comprehensive in that regard.
I think to piggyback on that is that we're really wanting to expose the students to the industry, where it's not just about picking and packing. It's about the science that's involved.
Yeah.
It's
technology.
digital technologies, the artificial intelligence, biosecurity. So
I think when you look,
some of the kids that we've had come in are blown away by.
I suppose one of the biggest improvements is GPS. You look back at guys at broadacre farming. How many acres did they overspray over the years, or underspray because they missed their mark, and things like that. The amount of fuel that's consumed, that whole process of farming nowadays.
Yeah.
It's a science in many ways, and it's a business, and they've got to run it like a
We're
business as
hoping
well.
from what we're doing in this program that some of these students coming through will create an interest in being a farm manager, being an irrigation specialist, being a scientist, being an environmental scientist, being a data analyst, all that, being a marketing or a field consultant of some type. So there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of opportunity in this part of the world, and
for sure.
agriculture is our number one economic driver in our region. And, you know, their industry are really putting up their hand with this project and saying we're really keen to show the students what we're doing.
Too easy. We'll have to try and organise a bit of a catch-up after this down the track, see how it all went.
Well, the project's funded to run until the end of this year. So we have our Group 3 starting next week. And at this stage, we have around 10 participants, which is fantastic.
That's a good response.
We're probably looking for another 5. So we're reaching out to some of the other schools, particularly around that year 9 and 10 level. The project will then go into term 4 with a careers event down there to you know, again expose what we've done, the industries that are involved, the pathways that are there. We're also hoping that the future of the Chafey Secondary College Farm will also involve, and I know Beck's will be arranging a Year 10 agricultural science class down there next year as their, I suppose, their learning space. There is a classroom down there, which is fantastic.
So it's more hands-on. Is that the aim of the project? Is more hands-on, getting them out, getting young people out in the field, because it's like
that's an element to it, isn't it?
That's a big element, and kids putting something into practice. I mean, we can teach the theory until the cows come home, but putting it all into practice, it's really, you know, getting kids to make those connections.
I think that's a big key ingredient for anything. It's like building anything. It's great to write all this stuff down. It's great to see it, but until you've actually felt something in your hand, or you've plucked something from a tomato vine, or pulled an onion or a carrot out of the ground, it's just words on a piece of paper.
Well,
it doesn't really mean nothing to you.
I think science and modern technology have helped us elevate the program to these students, and they're understanding how important science and modern technology is in horticulture, with the quality of the produce that they do grow.
All right. Well, I thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thanks, Ivan.
We'll have a chat further down the track.
Oh, I hope so,
Looking forward to it. Thanks again, Beck. Thanks, Dale.
Thank you.
The unparalleled technology dedicated